Friends, you know that we love a quiz here at Fat Mascara. I'm going to do you one better. Enter Color Guru. Color Guru is a system that helps you find, wait for it, your colors so you know what's going to work best for you. Jen and I are freaking obsessed. We talk about this in our free time.
How many times have we discussed getting your colors done and how cool that is? Color Guru does it better than anyone. Listen, I've had this done a couple points in my life, and I always thought I knew what my colors were and what looked good on me. And then I did the Color Guru analysis, and it was like mind blown. I literally did a closet overhaul. I went shopping, and I gave myself the freedom to just be like, nope, 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 nope. These things that were trendy that I knew weren't going to look good on me. It made my life so much easier. And it's easy to do. You upload these photos and you get this whole system back, 8 pages of data, which metallics look good on me, what makeup looks good on me, what colors look good on me, what season I am. What a great gift for someone in your family this holiday season that's always complaining, I don't know what to wear. Get them a Color Guru analysis. You will not be sorry.
This is so much fun. If you want to figure out what looks good on you and feel more confident in your clothing and makeup choices, order your color analysis today. Visit colorguru.com to get your custom color consultation now and use code FATMASCARA for 10% off. Again, that's colorguru.com and the 10% off discount code is FATMASCARA. Then write us and tell us how you liked it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fat Mascara.
Welcome. I'm Jen Sullivan.
I'm Jess Matlin. We have an amazing episode for you. We have Naomi Watts.
What a great conversation. I had so much fun chatting with her. I think when brands start up and they say they want to have a conversation with their customers, I tend to get a little bit of an eye roll. But then when Naomi talked to us, I was like, this is the conversation. She's putting her money where her mouth is. She had the conversation with us. And the conversation is sometimes not an easy one, right? Menopause is not something everybody wants to talk about every day.
Yeah, this is not a, when people talk about celebrity lines, I would not say Naomi Watts is doing a celebrity line. She is definitely braver than, and that's even kind of corny to be like, oh, she's brave for talking about life and talking about just things we as people, human beings, not just women, just everyone should be talking about. But she's actually putting herself out there in a way I see no other celebrities putting themselves out there when it comes to product lines.
Yeah, and we had a good conversation. Should I tell people who Naomi Watts is in case they've been...
If they don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that was...
Not looking at a screen for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So she's a British actress who starred in movies such as Mulholland Drive, 21 Grams and the Impossible. Both of those earned her Academy Award nominations for Best Actress, by the way. She also stars in, Jess and I are very excited about this one, the Netflix limited series The Watcher from Ryan Murphy. It's actually based on a story from The Cut that went viral that Jess and I were both obsessed with. It takes place in this house in New Jersey. So Naomi's the star of that. And of course, she recently partnered with biotech company Amyris to launch Stripes, a beauty brand and wellness brand focused on menopause, as we said. So the company is all about having these open, honest conversations. And that's definitely what we did with Naomi. So we talk about everything from what menopause is to why it would be nice to learn more about it before it actually happens. And I think that's why this chat is for everyone, not just those of you who are about to go through or are going through or have been through menopause or in it now, but anyone who menstruates. This is a universal experience for women, and Naomi wants us to be talking more about it. So here she is to get that conversation started. Naomi, welcome to Fat Mascara. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Good. We're just going to get right into it. Your line is called Stripes. So
Yeah.
I feel like you wouldn't have named your line that without acknowledging that you yourself have earned your stripes. So I'm curious, what moment in your career did you feel that happened, that you earned your stripes?
Well, I think, really turning 50 was a milestone moment in many areas of my life. And I think that's when you start feeling like you're looking looking back, but also looking forward and knowing that your years ahead are getting a little bit tighter and smaller, but feeling good about the things you've achieved as well, honoring that and knowing or starting to really think about what's ahead and what you still have to achieve. I felt like I've done some great things in my career that I can feel proud of. Obviously, my children, which I fought to have. There was multiple struggles getting pregnant. And yeah, now a new phase of my life with, entering into the beauty space, which I never really planned to do.
Oh, now you have to earn your stripes in this whole other world,
yes,
huh?
It is. And that is actually, people keep asking me, what are your fears ahead? And I'm like, well, for this, firstly, it's a stigmatized conversation, which it shouldn't be, based on the fact that half the population will be in menopause at some point in another. Yeah, but also because of my industry, we're otherwise usually have been quite private, and that's changed. With the internet, people have greater access to your life, and that's okay. But talking about certain parts of things that come with menopause can be icky, and that's the whole point in doing this. But I think being an actor and in the public eye already makes it a little more scary, I suppose.
Well, we're going to get you a little bit uncomfortable or icky when we talk about menopause later in the conversation. Before we get into stripes and menopause and why you wanted to do the line, let's just talk a little bit more about age, because I think that's a big part of this conversation. Like you said, at 50, you had earned your stripes, but was there a moment in your life that you were forced to sort of grow up? You started acting very young. Like, when did you feel like a grown-up?
I still don't. There are days where I don't. There are days where I feel like I never really changed from my mid to late 20s. And then you get that surprising moment in the mirror or some kind of a reflection. But I think being a mother is when you really start to think, in more responsible ways that force you into feeling like a proper grown-up.
Listen, when I think about aging, I feel like it's part of this conversation. I feel like the conversation about aging has gotten so much louder for me. This is my perception in the past 5-10 years. And I feel like the line in the sand has gotten younger and younger. When I was younger, it was 40 is over the hill. 40 is when you start to get older. But now I work with, 20-somethings who are worried about anti-aging. I was talking to a girl yesterday who said, when do I need to start using retinol? I know I should be using it by now. I was listening to a podcast with the influencer Tinks, and the whole episode was about aging and accepting aging. She was around 30 years old. And it was I accept my age. I didn't think about aging until kind of recently. It's just getting younger. What are your thoughts?
Do you know what? I was always a little bit aware of my age in my 30s, late 30s.
Is that because of your occupation?
Yeah, I would say for sure. And also I got started late. I basically didn't get a real job that people could see on a larger scale until I was... I think I was 30 when I met David Lynch, and then the movie kind of stalled because it was going to be a TV show. It didn't end up airing on TV, and then they bought the rights, and David made the last 45 minutes, and it became a feature. So then it was released about 32. So I was always aware of the clock. And the biological one as well, not just in my career. I had been told as I entered Hollywood on that scale that, you better hurry up now. Now you've got some notices, nice notices, and the calls are coming in. You need to work. You need to race the clock.
Who was telling you that?
Really make yourself available. Multiple people, agents, managers, peers, you name it, casting directors, because you need to stay in the game, and, it runs out, 40 was the number. That's when you had to say farewell to being a leading lady. There was a much unfriendlier term thrown around, but I don't know if your audiences want to hear it.
No, share with us.
Amy Schumer's skit, are we talking about?
Yeah, you're basically unfuckable after a certain amount of time, and then you go, what does that mean exactly? I see older women on in movies, but they're like, well, that's how it is. And I sort of went away and stewed on it a bit and thought, what does that actually mean? And then I thought, oh, I get it. It's when your reproductive organs stop working, and that's when you have to play the mad crazy woman. The one that is yelling and screaming and being unpredictable and, freaking everybody out, mean.
Do you think it's changed much?
It's no coincidence that I'm doing a menopause line.
But we hear about like age acceptance and, all of the strides that have been made. Do you think it's changed much?
I do think it's changed. Incremental changes have happened. And I do feel like now we're kind of on the precipice of this conversation about aging really blowing open and, including menopause and women's health and all of and research, having a real look at that and where things have gone wrong and why we've been underserved. So I do think it will blow open, and we're right at that pivotal point where big noise. I mean, it's literally like the door got opened a little crack and we're all going to come out yelling. Yeah. We're ready for these changes. No more suffering in silence.
You were in a movie that I absolutely loved, and it was called While We're Young. And that was with Ben Stiller. And you and Ben Stiller were a couple in it. And you were in your 40s, and you guys became friends with a younger couple, kind of like a cool, like Brooklyn couple. And it was Adam Driver and Amanda Seyfried. And they were, kind of like opening your eyes to like, your marriage was kind of like, okay, moving along. And they kind of opened your eyes, kick the door open to like, new things and like a breath of fresh air and like doing, cool, it's kind of cool young person stuff that you stop doing when you're in your mid 40s. It's like the way youth feels to people once they hit a certain age. So did you ever have any of those moments in your 40s or, once you got to a certain age where you're like,
or you passed the line, I'm on the other side now.
You're like, oh, I should be doing that. Or like, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think there's a panic in the 40s, I think, that happens, and you do try and cram in a lot, but then, and you always sort of speak positively or try to almost to convince yourself when you're speaking about the age that you're at. And I'm here in my 50s, and so I'm feeling like there's an ease to this now. Now I'm on the other side of that panic. I think I'm quite okay with being open, talking about aging and menopause ad nauseum if I have to. And if it spooks people, so be it. It's coming for you. And I don't say that as a threat. I say it as that like, yeah, I mean, I literally test the water sometimes and just, particularly in places where you really know it's not going to, well, it's probably going to land with a thud. And indeed it does. And those are the places that you really got to get shouty and loud. But I feel a lot more at ease with myself. I feel open to being kinder to myself. And as I said, I'm more aware of the time I have left.
But was there a time before did it take you some time to get there is what I'm saying?
Yes, it did. I think in my 40s, that was part of the panic, the denial, the spiraling of like, what next? And have I done this? And have I done that? And then you just sort of calm down a bit and get used to it, I suppose.
It's funny, the New York Times just did a large study or letter on a study about the midlife crisis and how across cultures it actually is real, and it does coincide with the time period you're talking about. There's something about the 40s, and
yeah, it's the letting go.
Yeah.
Or adjusting. Yeah. You're still, and it's all to do with hormones. I'm sure of it. That hormones drive everything. They drive mood. And, I think after 50, you're no longer a victim to your hormones.
Well, let's talk about this time period and menopause, because like you created Stripes, this community and this line all around the idea of this. And I think one of the scary things for people is like, okay, when you start menstruating, like you kind of know that's going to happen 10 to 14, right? It's a short period. Like you have an idea, everybody's kind of going through it at once. There's this big question mark with menopause. Like everything after a certain age, you're like, is this menopause coming on? Like can you give me a date? What year is it going to happen? Do you think for some women that separation of being young and not young is that year that menopause happens?
Yeah. And by the way, you said it perfectly. You know, there's all of these studies and information and caretaking and treatments and things like that when kids kick off in the time of puberty, and storytelling, media. You know, there's so much information, education in fourth or fifth grade. They spell it out for you. And then there's the bookend, which is where I'm at. And there's nothing. It's just like
where's
the story.
Our sex ed class? Give it to us, Naomi.
I feel like it should have happened then. And I think so many generations past have, you know, dealt with the sucking it up and suffering in silence, that, you know, the education piece was just missing. It wasn't necessary. Nobody was asking questions because the code of silence was just somehow agreed upon. And I think that's changed now, and probably in large part due to the internet, because we all sort of got onto the internet in secrecy and found each other, and then it spiraled and snowballed into a larger conversation.
It makes sense to me why you would focus on this, especially because it's an individual process for each woman. I'm sure there's different symptoms that affect different women, different products. But like, we have to be real with you. There's a lot of celebrities in their 50s doing product lines. Like Idris Elba has skincare, Gwen Stefani has makeup, Jennifer Lopez has skincare. And then here comes Naomi Watts, and she's doing, wait for it, menopause. Like, what were people saying? What are the responses when you told them what you were doing?
Mostly it's been positive, but I'm waiting for the critics. I'm sure they'll be out there. We're really at the launch stage. So as it opens up, it'll get, more likely the criticisms will come in. I'm prepared for that, but I'm okay with it. I think. I feel like we're serving a demographic that has not been supported in previous times. And, yes, there's lots of skincare and hair care out there that women of my age group can use, but are they seeing themselves represented? I mean, I think that's what we need. Every human being needs to see themselves reflected in stories, in media, in ads, in friendships. You just need to feel less alone in the world. You need to know you can connect with other people's stories to see your own. And if it's not there in certain ways, and in fact, a lot of these brands are, saying they're there for your age group, but their ad campaigns are all wrong because they're, saying you can look like this, and it's a 28-year-old, and it's like, no, I can't. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me that. That's an empty promise that I'll never be able to fulfill. So yeah, I really wanted to create a brand that had a story, that had a purpose, and had some meaning for women who are feeling largely unseen. And, we've been made to feel we're irrelevant after our reproductive years. And that's just not okay. My mother spoke to me about that quite a bit. And I now understand it. Now I'm here. I feel the compassion that I should have felt then. And that's part of it as well. We want the brand to, be a supportive place that you can come and you can bitch and moan and laugh and cry and complain all you want, that the products make you feel part of something, like it's a club. And we want it to feel aspirational. And how do we take agency over this time of our lives and be our own best advocates and find a way to be vibrant and live our best half.
I like that. Live your best
the
half
life that we've been given.
I just want to go back to something you said really quickly, because it's interesting, the thing you said about we wish you had compassion for your mother, did she actually say that she didn't feel seen, or is it something you think that she probably didn't?
Oh no, she very clearly stated that she felt suddenly irrelevant, and nobody would look at her, like, and my mom was a beautiful woman, like exquisitely beautiful. And so, yeah, I think just that sudden change. She talked about menopause a bit with me, but not any great detail. She just told me that she went in early, and that's all I knew. So I didn't really know to ask a lot of questions.
I've heard that, I've heard that from a couple of people, a couple of women, like it's kind of like a funny thing happened. These are attractive women, very beautiful women who they've shared, and they were like a decade or two older than me, but they've shared just kind of in a passing remark, not like, I want to talk about this, Jess, but like, it's a funny thing that happens when you become invisible. And they've meant like both, to men, but also just like to people on the street or like in a party situation or like at a work event. These are all different situations that they've happened. And it's like, I think it's just like the culture. I'm saying nothing revelatory here, but like, it just kind of puts women aside when they're no longer, the demo, or I don't know. It's like it was kind of very silent, kind of heartbreaking, kind of lonely shift. And I actually remember seeing it go through this woman's, like, I could see it happen in her eyes, and she didn't want to talk about it. But what you said just kind of really reminded me of that.
It shouldn't be that way. Every age, every person has a place and meaning in society, right? And really, we should be revering our elders for all of the work they've done and carved the path or paved the way, whatever the expression is. And we should look to their wisdom. We should listen to and learn from them.
I love that you are carving out the space.
And that's why this is also, well, thank you. It is, I want it to seem like it's an intergenerational thing, because we need to learn from our elders and offer them the compassion for never having spoken a whisper about it, that they, suffered in silence. And then
we're not blaming you, moms.
No. And then, prepare the younger generation. So it's all encompassing, and yeah.
But that's interesting, because I thought of your line before we were speaking as, okay, this is for a woman of a certain age. But I like that it's like, no, it's also for the younger women who you should be preparing, because this is coming. Let's learn about it together. That makes it
absolutely
more fun.
Yeah, I think.
Is that a weird word?
Yeah. I want those women to listen, because I actually went in earlier than I think most people, although I don't want to pass judgment on that. I went in much earlier than I was ready for, let's say it like that.
What is the age range of menopause these days?
It's so varied. And they say the average age for a woman to go into menopause, not peri, and menopause is considered 1 year after you've finished your last menstruation, and that average age is around 51. I hadn't even heard of the term perimenopause when that day came. And in fact, when I don't want to draw out the story too long, but when I was trying to get pregnant and I wasn't succeeding, I was told that my blood panel suggested that I was close to menopause. So I was freaking out. And it's hard to say whether I was in perimenopause or not at that time, but certainly I was spiraling out of control and panicking and worried. And anyway, long story short, I have 2 gorgeous children, but pretty much straight after that, in my early 40s, I went into night sweats and all the other symptoms that come with it, migraines that. But I was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me more detail? I didn't know what, early, she told me she had her last period at 45. And I was like, but there must have been a lot of other information that, you could have shared before that.
Oh my God.
And she said, well, it's the conversations I never had with my mother because she never had them with hers. And, and so the baton kept getting passed, the code of silence.
I don't mean to laugh. I just this is just all too real.
Making.
This is just so I can picture it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no. Are you
this is a familiar story?
Connecting with things here?
Oh my God, my doctor, I wasn't going to share this, but I had like a hip injury and he was like, well, you're a young woman.
You're like, I love you.
So I'm worried. So we should get x-rays because you're still young and athletic. And literally 20 seconds after he said that, he goes, are you still menstruating? Because he looked at how old I was. I'm 44. And I was like, which is it, doctor? Am I a young woman who needs an x-ray? Or am I like, even he was like, could be, couldn't be. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's not a lot of, information, even from doctors. That's changing now. But back in in my early 40s, when I had those kind of questions, it was like, yeah, you could be. Because there's no real one test. It's really using the blood panel and trying to remember when your last period was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
I can't.
And the vibes aren't great.
You know when you know, ladies.
Yeah, exactly.
This is so
Oh my gosh.
I don't feel better. Let's talk about your product. It's like at least that we know what's in them. Okay. So take us through the Stripes line.
Yeah. So we're coming out with 12 SKUs, scalp to vag.
Is that on the pack? It says scalp to vag, or that's your pitch?
That's one of our bylines. Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, we're basically, when you lose estrogen, you lose hydration. And that's pretty common. I mean, there's no one size fits all for the menopause symptoms, but dehydration is pretty across the board. That's a basic one that nearly everyone feels. From
I'm over here
scalp
chugging
to
water.
vag.
I'm sorry. Like as you guys are talking,
guys,
I'm getting hot and chugging water. Is it happening? Is it happening as we speak?
Don't ask your doctor.
Well, stress can bring on the sweats. I'm definitely not a doctor, guys, but...
Okay. Yes, please, everyone, speak to a doctor.
Yeah, no. But yes.
So we're going to hydrate, scalp to vag. Continue.
Yes, and we've created the pairing of two ingredients, which are ectoine and squalene, which really, really speak to the dehydration issues. And we've got hair serum and masks. We've got plenty of face, like a fantastic serum, which I swear by, called the Power Move.
I like the serum. Jen and I have been using the serum and the moisturizer, the Power.
Did you try
I'm wearing it now.
Great.
Yeah, it's really good. I have a little lab sample.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's great. It's a beautiful texture. And 3 cheers for squalene. We love squalene. We know all about it. Yeah.
Yes. And ectoine is a fantastic ingredient too. And basically in all of our products. Yeah, we have body oil. We have cool factor for the moments where you're getting hot under the collar.
What is that? Is it like a spray or is it...
Yeah, it's like a mist. But you can use it as an essence as well, like before you put your moisturizer on or your serum, just to open up the pores and make sure that everything gets in. Or I use it like, in the day if I want. Just take it in your bag and, when you're having a hot moment and you want to cool down, basically. Or loosen up the makeup, like at work and I'm under the hot lights and cameras all day long, reapplying makeup. It's nice to just loosen that up and feel your skin.
Oh, I like that term for that moment. I've talked about that with other people, like when your makeup just gets like cracky and like one of our guests said it was like, it looked like a Picasso.
You just smush it back together.
Where like the pieces of the face aren't together and you need to sort of, we could use your spray to just sort of spray and push it back into place.
Yes, exactly. And at my age, the little cracks and not surface cracks, they're like crevasses. Like if you don't like loosen it, you gotta, and also there's some hydration in there as well. It's not just like, just
water,
for topical. Yeah, water. It's more than that.
Oh, that sounds
and
lovely.
then, you were creating this line, you mentioned at the top, this is like, you never thought you were going to get into beauty. This was not, your goal. Now that you're in it, what have you learned? Like, about the industry or, about products, etc.
I mean, I've always loved beauty. I remember as a kid trying to make my own perfume and, I loved products, but I didn't grow up with money, so I wasn't like buying things too much. I would get mom's leftovers. But yeah, I got into it mainly by accident because of the hormonal changes again. And sorry if I'm banging on too much about menopause, but it's sort of, why I'm here. I was working on a TV show, and that buildup of makeup that we were just talking about was creating unbelievable irritation in my skin. And I would come home at night once I got the makeup off, and I would just itch it and scrape it off. And like, what's happening? What's happening? I would talk to my doctor. He would give me a cortisone cream. And then I'd go back the next day.
They love a cortisone cream, don't they?
Yeah. It's a Band-Aid fix. And that's fine. And it was fixing things. And then I realized, what is it that's going on? And I can't not put the makeup on, and the redness is making more makeup go on to cover it. So what am I going to do to change this? And then I started looking at ingredients. And then, it's just so happened that two of my friends who I had put together to create, I had introduced, and they created Onda Beauty, which is a retail space that sells multiple brands that are all clean. And they started saying, well, you should try this. This is a non-irritant. This has got no, none of the bad stuff, and give it a try. And I tried it. And then I tried another one. And
what was this? Do you remember what it was?
Mary Veronique. Do you know her line?
Of course.
Veronique.
Yeah, Veronique. Yeah, French. And French lady made this a wonderful line, very detailed, very comprehensive line, but very efficacious. And things like Vintner's Daughter, a bunch of different clean lines. And instantly my skin was just less angry. So I thought, wow, this is really, they're onto something here. And then, it made sense for me to start talking about their different brands to help the business. And I became a co-founder, and the business kept growing. And during the pandemic, we had massive changes like everyone else. And we had to sort of do a massive pivot and change the business from a retail brick and mortar space to an online business. And that's when I really got heavily involved. And I learned so much during that time. It's been an incredible learning curve for me, and really developed a passion. Now, the menopause thing came, it was sort of an aha moment, because I, had that experience with the skin changes. And then I started doing a deeper dive on my menopause experience online. I was talking to friends about it. A friend had an idea that I should write a book to make it like a, fun, sexy time instead of like the doom and gloom message that's out there. But I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. And this was like a good 10 years ago, but I didn't know how to write a book. So I sort of sat on that. And then during the pandemic, I got united with this group of other beauty founders and CEOs and a great list of people. And everyone was talking about how to manage this time of crisis. And I just started listening to how people were speaking about what the consumer needs, how smart they are, and what they're looking for in a brand. And I was like, this is it. This is what I've got to do. And here we are.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wait, you mentioned that you made perfume when you were little?
Yes.
This isn't your first rodeo here? What perfume did you make?
I mean, no. I'm talking little girl picking petals from the garden.
I don't care. This was your origin story.
Yes, okay.
This is why you have stripes now, right?
But doesn't every girl do that? Well,
No.
not if you're born and raised in New York. Probably not.
No, not in Philadelphia. We were not picking flowers and making perfume. Did it actually smell, or were you just was it imaginary?
It's probably, it was mostly imaginary. And yes, it probably had like a day of smelling good and then it went off very quickly. But yes, it was the experience of like choosing different flowers and finding nice bottles that you could empty stuff out of and repurpose. And
I love how you're talking about this as if doesn't everybody do that? Because
and then also it was like in my day, we used to press flowers. This is before we had phones, right? We were just stuck in the garden doing playing with whatever we had. We barely had TV. I mean, I'm really aging myself now.
She's like a witch. She's been alive for 200 years, everyone.
Exactly.
No, I actually did press flowers when I was little. I had one of those with the cardboard and the
Yes,
screws
exactly.
that
And you
would
screw them
tighten.
in.
Not
Yeah.
do that stuff anymore.
I did. Are you very into fragrance? I don't know if Onda, when you were doing the merchandising, did you get to pick fragrances and things or?
Yeah. And now that, I love Henry Rose. Michelle's done a beautiful job with those. But one thing again with menopause that happens is you get sensory overload. You get, what worked for you before no longer works.
Oh, fragrance-wise too.
Yes.
Huh?
I can literally be repulsed by a smell that I used to love. So, yeah.
Was it generally that like stronger smells you wanted to move away from and
Yes.
you needed?
Yeah.
So what do you wear now if you want to wear fragrance?
I tend to just wear body oils, but yes, for Henry Rose, I love hers because they're all subtle and again, no harmful ingredients. And I really only use it if I'm going out somewhere special. I don't put perfume on every day like I used to.
What other beauty products are you into these days besides the Stripes products?
When I'm not working, I try not to. I put a lippy on today for you guys, but nothing else. That was really a loss.
You don't have to put lipstick on for us, by the way.
But
you know that.
I know. I was actually, not going to, and then I sort of thought, oh God, it looks like I'm being lazy or something. But I like to give my skin a rest, because I'm on camera often, and wherever I can, it needs the breaks it can get. But yeah, so I like to just put all of my time and energy into skincare.
I get that.
And this is the one that you've been using.
That's the real packaging. Looks good.
The serum,
looks good.
the Power Move.
Nice. Chic.
Yeah. And also one thing I haven't spoken about is it's refillable. So it's sustainability was what was, obviously high on our list of priorities.
Cool. Well, it feels really beautiful on the skin.
Good. Yeah, we're getting great reports. I mean, I use lip balm. I'm a big lipstick person. If I'm going to go out myself, I do love a pop of a lip.
What did you put on for us today?
I put on Rose Inc, Hypnotic. And
you love that squalene.
Yes, I do. I'm a believer.
Before we let you go, we do a little quick lightning round called Fat Mascara 5. I'm going to ask you just 5 questions, whatever comes to mind, okay? When did you first start wearing makeup? What was going on in your life?
Too young. Too young. I did that blue coal, in the jelly part of the
jelly
eye.
part.
That now, if anyone came near that, yes, literally inside.
She calls it the jelly. We call it the waterline, but I'm going to start calling it the jelly part. I like that.
It's so hard to get on and it's so hard to get off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate it when people put that on me because I just go, oh no, this is going to take ages and my eyes are going to be red for hours afterwards. I'm so sensitive around the eye area. I try not to wear mascara for that reason.
When did you learn to cook? Did you? I haven't. Okay.
Too late.
I'm still waiting. I'm still learning.
Too early on
Too
the makeup,
young,
too
too
late
late.
on the food.
Yeah, I mean, my mom is a great cook and I definitely watched her and learned a few things I can do. I've got a small repertoire that I do over and over again, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that we've got those meals figured out.
Taco Tuesdays, stir fry Wednesday.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, there's no wonder you get stuck on those recipes because when you've got kids, they're like turning their nose up to anything new. And so you just stick with the devil you know.
What do your kids like to eat?
They like, pasta is always a good one, roast chicken, turkey chili. But they've got such different tastes. One is real meat and potatoes and one's like veggies all the way.
Got you.
So you have to be double the cook. Lovely.
Yeah, well, it's going to be, I say it's not a restaurant, guys. One day is going to be not your best meal. Another day is going to be fine. And then you might get a great every now and again.
Okay, this one is, when did you first fall in love?
Too young. But it was very sweet and innocent. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in England, which not everyone knows, and my family immigrated to Australia when I was 14. And I met someone before I left. So it was super, super painful to make that transition of, just having met someone. But it was quite...
And at that age,
yes,
when it's like all consuming.
Yes, but it was quite romantic and beautiful because letters were written and, like those ones, the airmail.
Oh my God. It's painful.
And that sort of, yeah. But,
Very romantic, though. Airmail?
But it wasn't,
Come on.
it wasn't, obviously I was still an innocent girl, but it was romantic but not sustainable. I've since met that man years later, and we laughed about it.
That's really cool. I love that.
That's nice.
What period of your life has been the most challenging?
I would say, there were moments in my childhood that were sort of quite chaotic, and, that had a lot to do with, my mom and dad separating and then him passing away soon after. I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood. They're mostly, triggered by a photo here and there, and there aren't that many photographs, but there are, some painful memories. And going back and forth we moved around a lot. And I think that was, of course, my mom was trying to find her feet after.
Here's the high. What period of your life has been the most enjoyable and carefree? I'm hoping it's now. Maybe carefree might be a stretch for anyone at any time. This time. Yeah,
she
exactly.
Does have
carefree.
Kids, Jess,
yes, I do have teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I mean, definitely at the beginning of my children's lives were, that was such a special time. There was, so much surprise and discovery, and it was wonderful. And now, yes, they're teenagers and they're moody and, there's a lot of hot emotions going, but they're developing into sophisticated human beings. They have ideas of where they want to go. It's wonderful to watch. And yes, for me, being released from those hormonal tumultuous years, I feel much more stable. I feel like I got myself back, and I am therefore my most authentic self. And there's a comfort in that. It's like, oh, now I can breathe a bit better. I just knowing myself. I'm not going to make decisions based on hormonal disruption anymore. Things are calmer, and that feels good.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You do get to reclaim yourself.
You're going to have to be checking in. Like, is it the hormones talking?
Yeah. They really, they play some nasty tricks on you. And I understand why perimenopause is so scary to people, because it is, tumultuous up and down and unpredictable. But on the other side, you get yourself back. It's like a reclaiming, and you get to really find a way to live your best life, I think, knowing that, things are going to be much calmer from here on out.
Thank you for this window into something people don't talk about.
Yeah, for opening up the conversation so everybody can have a little less fear about this
your
whole thing.
honesty.
Yeah.
And
that's
up.
the idea.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Thank you, Naomi.
Thanks, guys.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Razor One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.